Whew. So we got a lot of news yesterday. So I'm Adriana. I'm on the JET program. I'm a fifth-year JET, and they, as of yesterday, told us that fifth years can recontract for a 6th year, which I was kind of expecting, but apparently not really, because, it's a lot of information for me to process. I think emotionally I'm still going through that. So I wanted to just talk through that and also talk through my thoughts and experiences and reflections on recontracting for JET. And maybe some of my experiences can help people out there, because I guess for me, I'm a little more prone to anxiety and being an anxious person. So for me, those choices are really hard. I don't like change. So maybe this little chat can help anyone out there who's, prone to anxiety or also doesn't like change. So yeah, I didn't really plan this out. I'll just see how it goes. But I've been thinking about this a lot. So hopefully this can help you come to a decision for yourself, or reflect on what you want from JET, or reflect on what you want to do with your time. And hopefully it can help me too. Because, yeah, I'm just going back and forth and it's really tiring. But yeah, I've been thinking a lot about that today. And every year when they ask about it, I always think, like, oh my gosh, wow, it's crazy to think of your time that you have in life as like a resource, and they're saying, all right, take 1 year of your life. Do you want to spend it here, or do you want to not? How do you want to spend it? It's interesting to me to kind of see that. It makes you literally have to look at your time as a resource and say, like, okay, do I want to use it in this way? Is it going to put me on the path that I want to be on? So I do find more or less with JET, and for me, I don't like teaching, or rather, I like teaching, but I don't want my career to be teaching English. I think about a pretty good majority of people on JET like it, but that's not their career, and that's not their career intention. So for me, it's always this balance between, I really love the kids. I love teaching, but I want to teach science. So, I'm always questioning myself, how do I want to be using this time? And it's this pull between, I'm really enjoying my time here. The minimal amount of stress for how much we get paid and how much freedom we have, I feel like is very, very hard to come by. It's very, very hard to come by. But in the same sense, for some reason, we have so much free time, but it seems to me that I somehow feel controlled, and I somehow still feel like I don't have free time, even though I'm at my desk and, there is not a lot going on, but somehow it still doesn't feel free. So I don't know, I feel controlled. But I'm realizing now, as I try to decide if I want to stay. I talked to my mom on the phone, and I was like, Mom, oh my God, help me. What's going on? I thought I didn't have to decide anymore, and I have to decide it again. And my mom was like, like, it's okay if you do choose the easy route, but, like, do you want to keep choosing the easy route? Do you want to stagnate, essentially? Do you want to coast? And I told her, like, that is how I feel. I feel like I'm stagnating. I feel like I'm coasting. So she said, like, it's fine if that's how you want to be, but is that how you're going to be fulfilled? And that's really the key, is, like, you have to choose what's going to fulfill you. And, if it is, like, a, like, not minimal responsibility, but, if it's a job that isn't incredibly taxing, depending on where you work, of course, every spot's different, but, if it's a job that does give you satisfaction, of course, that's fine. But thing I'm struggling with now is, with COVID going back, and balancing the safety and the predictability and the comfort here. The comfort is what traps you. And, like, one of my best friends here describes staying on JET is like an abusive relationship. When you're in it, it's so good and you love them and everything's fine. But then when you want to go, you try to leave, but there's always something that pulls you back. There's always something that pulls you back, whether it's like the cheap rent or the location or anything. Like, it's so good that I almost feel like I can't leave. And I think it's just natural for any person to not want change. Change is hard, change is scary. It's harder to leave. But I was thinking today, and I was thinking that leaving, you might not even know that leaving is better for you because it's scary. And you're naturally gonna put, that kind of off. Especially now with COVID. You don't know what your income is gonna be like. You don't know what your life is going to be like. It's the fear. It's the fear of loss of income. It's the fear of loss of travel. It's the fear of loss of comfort. You know this. It's safe. It's good. And you can stay. I can stay. But the question is, do you want that? Is that helping you grow? Are you growing in the ways you want to? Because it's really easy to just be on jet and stay comfy. But we have to be able to decipher when you need to stop coasting and when you need to grow. And for some people, that's really important. And for some people, it's not even a thought. But for me, that's what I'm going through right now. And of course, again, these are my opinions. I think it's best, at least, again, in my opinion, to be able to go out and get as much information as possible. Of course, my life and my values and my background aren't the same as, everyone watching this, but, I thought I would just do this, because it'll be interesting in the future. In, like, a year, future me can come back and look on this and be like, wow, there was so much going on. Look at all her emotion. That must have sucked. So it'll be interesting to see this little time capsule thing, but, yeah, it feels pretty not fun right now, but... yeah, it's just really the balance of comfort versus growth, and to me, it does kind of feel like, a relationship where it's easy to stay in it, but is it good for you? It's scary leaving, but is leaving good for you? Is staying good for you? And why are you staying? Why am I staying? Am I staying because it feels right? Am I staying because it makes me happy? Am I staying because this is the career I want? Or are you staying because fear is controlling you? Are you staying because it's comfortable? Are you staying because it's safe? Are you staying because changing is scary? I've tried to think about it, and I thought to kind of reflect on my body and see how it feels. One other very good friend told me to kind of imagine where I see myself on Halloween, so which would be, I would have to imagine one of the two. Either I'm in Japan or America. And he's like, where do you see yourself? And I was like, America. But, like, you can reflect on how your body feels, and that can also give you an answer of where you see yourself. For example, if you imagine yourself being home and it just is like a weight on you, you feel scared, you feel tight. If your stomach feels tight, how does your stomach feel? How does your face feel? How do your shoulders feel? When you imagine going home, do you feel tense? Do you feel happy? Do you feel excited? If you imagine going home and you feel elated, or you feel like the sides of your mouth go up, you feel like energy, you feel excited, that is your answer, essentially. If you can imagine yourself a year from now, where do you imagine yourself, and how does that make you feel? So that's, I guess, another reflection. But I think for me, fear has controlled me most of this time. Half and half. It is very scary changing. Change is hard. And jet is also very comfortable, and comfortability is valuable. Happiness is valuable. Experiences are valuable. But it's incredibly hard balancing comfortability with progress and comfortability with growth. Because sometimes they go directly opposite of each other. But if you can stay and, find growth while you're staying here, or you can find purpose while staying here, Now, of course, if you're a teacher, it's easy, but, it depends on what your goals are in life. But it's hard choosing. It's hard. It's really hard. But if you can, I feel like Jet very easily latches on to the fears that we have as humans, the fears of the unknown, going home, what's going to happen, who's going to be there, I have no money, I have no job, I'm going to have to do this, but for most of us, we're going to have to do it anyway. And yeah, you just have to choose what's most important for you. You have to really see if you're staying because you're afraid. Is it you that really wants to stay? Or are you staying because you're afraid of leaving? Or are you staying for negative reasons? Or are you staying because you're avoiding a bad thing? Are you staying because you're avoiding, like for me, this whole last year I didn't even set anything up. Ironically, my first year, my second year, my third year, I was like, let's apply to grad school. And then I got in, and then I was like, I don't want to go to grad school, and I don't want to do that, So, yeah, I didn't set anything up for me, but in the same sense, and this is reflection, I don't know an answer to this yet, but if there's nothing to go back to, should you go back? And in the same sense, if you have nothing to go back to, but you stay here, are you not just using the time here as a filler? And is that what you want? Is that what I want? I don't know. I'm just blurting all this stuff out because I don't know what I'm doing either, but hopefully an answer will come. But that's the hardest part, is there's no real answer, and there's no right answer. The only person that can choose the best answer is you and me. But I've also learned that either way, it's going to be okay. And I've freaked out about this. Every year I'm always like, scared. And that's always controlling me. I can feel a leash almost with like how much fear controls me and how much I'm trying to balance pleasure and happiness and enjoying life. And also I'm afraid to go back to America because I'm like, healthcare. Ooh, that's a scary thing. Healthcare tied to my job. What's the economy like? What's the employment like? I tried to get employed for a year after college, and that didn't even work. So, in a sense, I think I am using this to avoid the inevitable truth that I do have to go back to that if I have to live in America. And again, if, you guys are going back to America, that might be something that we have to deal with too. And it's scary. It's really scary. With COVID and the unknowns, but I think it is easier to fill in the unknowns with negative. And I think it's usually also not as bad as people think it's gonna be. At least me. I always usually put in the negative. I'm always like, oh, not gonna have a job, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna live with my parents, but it's in, I think, my life, and I think how most humans operate, the unknown isn't as bad as you think it's gonna be. And there is a lot of growth with facing the unknown and facing fear and just being like, let's go. Because if you can face fear, face it, and walk through it, nothing can control you. Because that's like essentially one of the human limits is fear. And if you don't let that control your actions anymore, that is when you truly become the driver of your life. Is when you can avoid fear. And easier said than done, of course, but if you can do that, if I could do that, that would save me a whole bunch of trouble like this right now, balancing fear and happiness and what's best for you. But they even say online that I think humans are not the best at choosing what's best for us anyway. But ultimately, you just have to follow your heart. But just try to follow your heart in the good way and not in a way that leads you trying to avoid the inevitable. Like for me, I think I've masked some fears and some things I haven't wanted to face in life while on Jet. you know, it's great. It's really good here. It's comfy. But, you know, I think Jet makes you face what you want to do with your life. Because again, your time is a commodity. They're asking you, excuse me, how do you want to use this 1 year, little block of your lifetime? How do you want to use it? And you see yourself using it. And, you know, it makes you realize if you don't know what you want to do. I don't yet, and that's okay. But it makes you realize if you don't know what you want to do, which is hard. I think that's hard. It kind of rams it in your face, at least for me. So I think there is a beauty in that, however. Like, it's a reminder to self-reflect and to know when we want to grow and know what you want to do with your time and what makes you happy and what excites you. So I think it's important to remember to reflect in times like this when we need to recontract, because ultimately it is choosing how we use our time. You know, and that's a beautiful thing, and it's also scary. So we'll see. I don't know what I've chosen yet, but what do you think? 6 years? Are you recontracting? If you're not a 6th year, what are you doing? I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but it's honestly, it's been hard. It's been hard. So I'll post about what I do, but till then, I'll see ya.